There are so many things that need to go into building relationships. And
Mm-hmm.
I really do think that building any business is
Mm-hmm.
about relationships with people. Like, how do you
Mm-hmm.
maintain a business, a successful business, if
Yeah,
you can't be social and have relationships with people and
I
make
agree.
people feel like they matter and that they're important to
Mm-hmm.
you?
Today, I'm joined by someone who knows how to dive deep, both in the mortgage world and in the ocean. Marsha Lovell is a master scuba diver, a wine enthusiast, a lover of travel, flip-flops, and pickleball, and someone who does business 100% virtually. As a mortgage broker, she thrives on building relationships and finding creative solutions for her clients. She's proactive, responsive, and always one step ahead. Exactly the kind of person you want in your corner when navigating the mortgage process. Marsha, welcome to the show.
Oh my gosh, what do I even say to that? That's insane. You make me sound awesome.
That's because you are awesome. It's nice to hear
Well,
sometimes, isn't it?
yeah, it kind of is.
I
It
know,
really
I know.
is.
I've heard
Yeah.
introductions before when I've been speaking somewhere, and I think, who are they talking about?
Yeah, I know. Is
Right?
this me? It can't
Now,
possibly be, right? Yeah.
now there's,
Lovely. Thank you so much for
you're
that.
welcome. You're totally welcome. I actually don't know where to start because when I was researching you a little bit, there's at least four things that we have in common that I was excited to talk about.
Oh,
Love of travel,
yeah.
flip flops, pickleball, and wine.
Yeah.
So let's start with travel. So do you have a favorite travel destination?
Oh, I don't know. There's so many of them. And um, this past December, we were in Huatuco, which is in like on the Pacific side of Mexico. It is
Mm,
a beautiful little spot. I hate telling people about it because it's grown so much in the last 4 or 5 years. It still does have that like quaint little feel, but it has grown a lot. And this time
mm,
we rented a condo, so it was quiet and beautiful. And
yeah.
the diving's nice there. It's like peaceful, lots of good things to see. The visibility isn't the greatest sometimes
Okay.
because you're diving Pacific waters, so it's not the Caribbean. But that's one of my absolute favorite
Mm.
places. I also love Bon Air, and again, it's about diving, and that
I've
that
I,
place is amazing for
I've never
diving.
been to either. So the first you said Huatuco, is that what it's called?
Yeah. Yeah.
So is that near is it near Cabo? Like is it on that part of Mexico
No,
or
no,
no? Not the
it's about
peninsula.
no, I think it's about 12 hours to drive from there to Guatemala. So it's quite south.
Okay. Okay.
Quite
Gotcha.
south. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. And is there somewhere that is still on your travel bucket list?
Galapagos,
Hmm. Hmm.
maybe
And
Hawaii.
do you have plans for either of those locations?
Not yet. Not
No.
yet.
Okay. Yeah.
Still not in the works yet, but hopefully it'll happen in the near future.
Yeah. Yeah. And scuba diving. How did you get into scuba diving? That's really interesting.
Oh, it's a funny story, actually. The first time, I'm not afraid of stuff.
Hmm.
So, like I've been skydiving. I've been like, I just do things, and I don't have
Ah.
fear. But we were sitting around in St. Lucia. It was raining for our entire vacation, and we were at a sandals resort, and they include diving in their
Hmm.
in their price,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So someone came around and asked Nigel, and I'm like, "Do you want to learn how to scuba dive?" And we're like, "Well, okay. We're sitting here drinking too much, so let's find something else to do, right?" So, anyways, we did that. We did our pool stuff, and then they take you on an open water dive to about 30 feet. And
Yeah.
as I was descending, I had this feeling that I didn't even understand.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I don't even get this. What is this? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm afraid. It's the first time I
Mm.
remember doing things like that, like in that sort
Mm-hmm.
of,
Mm-hmm.
you know, thing that have made me have that fear. And my first open water dives were not good at all. Like
No.
I almost quit a couple of times,
Yeah.
but you sort of get like it's something that I really wanted to do. And I remember the first open water that I did for my like certification, that was
Mm-hmm.
also in St. Lucia. You have to take your mask off, fill it up with water, like, fill your mask with water,
Mm-hmm.
blow it out. And I don't love water in my face. So I didn't do well with that. And I remember coming, I'm like, I said to the instructor, I'm like, I got to go to the top. I got to go to the top. I
Yeah.
can't do this. Right. So I got to the top and I'm like, I started complaining. I'm like, my reg's not working. This isn't working. I can't do that. And I was panicking, obviously. And the instructor was actually the person who
Mm-hmm.
saved me and got me to continue diving, because he's like, are you done, Marsha? And I'm like, yeah, I guess. And he just let the air out of my BCD and took me back down
Yeah.
again. Right. So if he hadn't done that, I would have never continued to
Mm.
try. And I love it. It's one of my favorite things to do.
Wow.
So I'm so glad I was sort of pushed outside of that comfort zone to be able to make that
Yeah.
happen.
Mm.
Yeah.
Were you like a daredevil kid? Were you, like when you were a little kid? Did this tendency show like
I
climbing
guess.
trees and I don't know, doing stunts on your bike? Like
No, not really.
no.
Not that kind of stuff. No, not that I
Okay.
remember anyways, but yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, it's pretty. You have a very adventurous side, obviously.
Yeah, I think I do. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Good for you. I've never done it. I would be quite scared as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, but
It's
perhaps if I was
not.
with someone who wasn't afraid, then maybe I would be braver as well.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that helps too, to sort of have someone to actually guide you
Mm-hmm.
through that process, or if you have a friend that's got experience, that's a great opportunity to do it. And I'd highly
Mm-hmm.
recommend doing it in water with good visibility, so somewhere in the Caribbean.
Okay. Yeah, because
Yeah.
there's probably gorgeous things to see down there that
There
are
are
so
so many
unique.
things.
Wow. Hmm.
So many awesome things. And a lot of people, like, the first questions they'll ask you are, how deep have you been?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But as you go deeper, you lose light. So you lose the colors. You like primo
Mm-hmm.
kind of spots are like maybe 60, 65 feet is the best visibility, the best colors, all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Wow. So cool. So cool. Okay. Less adventurous, but kind of ties in with the warm weather. Flip flops. Honestly, when I read flip flops, I love flip flops. Like I'm also
me too.
known for flip flops. So I say open toes till it snows.
Yes.
I mean, we do have snow right now, but as soon as that snow goes away, I'm going to have the flip flops on. They're just so convenient. So I need to know, do you know the brand Havaianas?
That's my
The bl-
favorite.
See?
those things, those are the only ones I wear. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So I knew about them like years ago, but I don't know. I probably thought, oh, they're so much more expensive than like cheap pair you get at Old Navy or something. But a
Mhm.
few years ago, I got my first pair and I thought, oh, like they're comfortable. They're great.
They
So,
are comfortable and you can walk
mhm.
for them a long time. And I
Yes.
love that they put Swarovski crystals in them. They give them bling and color, like just
Uh-huh.
they're just so fancy looking, right?
They are. They
So
are. I
fun.
know. So maybe this podcast can be sponsored by, and then we
There
can
you go.
get free ones and we'll wear them and model them. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I love
Exactly.
them.
That's a great idea. Oh, my
Yeah.
favorite. My absolute favorite.
And then wine. And I
Mm.
saw on your social media some very beautiful bottles. So do you have a go-to wine? How do you choose your wine?
Um, I mean, I have go-to bottles, but they're less expensive usually
Mm-hmm.
than what, like, I love California wines are my favorite.
Mm-hmm. Me
I love
too.
the soft finish, the sort of chocolate essence that you get from it. So those are my
Mm-hmm.
favorites.
Mm-hmm.
But I also really love a good bottle of Amarone, which is, I mean,
Okay.
you're looking
Uh-huh.
at a little bit higher price point there,
Sure.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
yeah, love it.
So I see in our future that we're getting together in our flip-flops for a glass of wine. That's
That's
just what I'm seeing.
that sounds
Yeah.
awesome. That's awesome. I think it's actually called don't quote me on this, but I think it's called Small Winemakers of Ontario. If you get a
Okay.
chance, look it up. They have beautiful, beautiful
Mm.
wines.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
they deliver. They deliver.
Oh,
It's
I
all
love
online.
that. I love that.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about how your journey into mortgages, financing. When in your life did you kind of develop an interest or a passion for this, and kind of how did that transpire?
I think I've always had an interest in business, but
Hmm.
this might surprise you. I used to be a massage therapist,
Ah,
acupuncturist, like
huh.
reflexology, sold natural health products, and I had my own business in air for years.
Hmm.
So I was in that industry for about 20 years. And then I was already sort of thinking I needed a change. It's a very physical job, right? And
Hmm. Yeah.
I sometimes miss it because everyone loves you. You're their favorite
That's
person to
true.
come
That's
see,
true.
right?
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
you don't often get that. And I mean, you get that in the mortgage industry, but the sad part about that is you have clients, but often you talk to them every day for 2 months and then they're gone for 3 years or five
Yes.
years, right?
Yes. Yes, you're
So
right. Yeah.
you lose that sort of like, I see this person for 20 years every 3 weeks kind of thing. So you lose
Hmm.
that connection. So I miss that about it. But
Hmm.
I always, it's just was physically becoming very hard for
Hmm.
me.
Hmm.
And I worked a lot. Like I worked way more than most massage therapists would ever work, right?
Hmm.
So it just, and then 2020, like there's just so many factors. So
Yeah. Yeah.
COVID came
Hmm.
along, and then I couldn't work for about 3 months. And then when we went back to work, even like it was tough. Like all of the
Hmm.
wearing a mask for 8 or 9 hours a day, the
Yeah.
cleaning protocols, and it just got to be like, you know what, I think I need something new.
Need a change. Time for change.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
then I don't know if maybe this is too much, but like I had already been thinking I was looking for that change. And then
Hmm.
in August of 2020, I was diagnosed with endometrial cancer.
Hmm.
So then I needed to have surgery,
Hmm.
and I would have been off work for a long time. And it was hard, I think, to find out, like, to sort of figure out that exit strategy with my clients.
Hmm.
So it was like, you know what? Nigel said to me, he's like, this is your exit strategy. Like, you have to recover, do the course, get the
Hmm.
work done while you're recovering, because you can't do anything.
Yeah.
You just sit there and barely move around for a few months, right? So that sort of was what led me to being in the mortgage industry.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's sort of like,
How is your health now?
oh, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah. Good.
I didn't know if I wanted to bring that up, but it seemed like this
Hmm.
really nice segue, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
But I didn't need, it was like endometrial cancer is very contained.
Okay.
So
Hmm.
it's just surgical. Like there was no radiation, no chemo.
Okay.
Probably one of
Hmm.
the best kind of cancers to
Yeah.
really have if it's
It's
caught early
still
enough, right?
still a scary thing to hear, I'm sure.
Oh
You
yeah.
hear the C word, and it's
Yeah.
scary to hear. So,
Yeah,
okay, so you
absolutely.
had I mean, that happens a lot in life, where there's something that happens that brings about like a big
Yeah.
pivot. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but you pivoted into a very different industry. So then tell me about what captured your interest about mortgages, financing, that line of work.
It still gives me the ability, like I had some my partner Pete, his family is in the mortgage industry, so I
Hmm.
had some sort of connections to them and know
Hmm.
what I mean. I understood how the industry worked, all that
Yeah.
stuff, and I still gives me the opportunity to help people, which is my personality,
Yes.
but not quite on that physical,
Hmm.
not with that physical implications of doing massage, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Some
Although
pretty
I'll
big
tell you,
changes, though.
yeah, huge. But sitting at a desk is hard.
Mm.
Like I
Hmm.
don't know how
Hmm.
often you're sitting. Like it's way harder than standing for 10 hours a
I agree
day.
with you. Yeah. Yeah.
It really is, right?
We'd rather be out walking in our flip flops.
That's right.
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
so I noticed too that you mentioned your business is 100% virtual. which
Yeah.
is still somewhat uncommon, I think, in the mortgage world. So, what inspired you to go fully remote, and how has that changed how you work with clients?
The reason for the fully remote, I think, began just during COVID when
Okay.
you can't go
Mm-hmm.
see anybody. And
Mm-hmm.
it just morphed into a better way of doing business. It's much
Yeah,
more efficient,
it
right? Like
is.
like
Yeah.
going and meeting people and all those things. It takes hours of time when you can have a 15-minute phone call to
Mm-hmm.
figure
Mm-hmm.
out what you can do to help.
Yeah.
So I think that it started with COVID, but it's just become the nature of the entire
Mm-hmm.
business. Like
Mm-hmm.
most of the brokers that I know are virtual.
Okay. So it's been not
Yeah.
just you going this route, a
No.
large number of people in the industry have gone this route.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I think you'll see it more, and like even the clients like it too, because
Mm-hmm.
it's the same thing for them, right? They're not traveling, they're not spending that time.
Right.
You can do all the documents are done over like in a secured portal. Like it's so easy. It's so easy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Much more efficient way for everybody.
Yeah. And you did say your clients, yeah, have loved this. It's convenient
Yeah.
for you, but it's also convenient for them.
Yeah, absolutely it
Very
is.
easy for them to do.
Yeah.
You describe your business as relationship driven. What does that mean for you in a world where so much of the mortgage process is numbers and paperwork? So how does this go together? Numbers, paperwork, and relationship driven.
I think it just goes back to my personality. I want to have those relationships with my clients. And I'm not
Hmm.
saying like go out, have wine, do whatever, but I have done that. But
Yeah, sure.
it doesn't necessarily have to be with that. But I want them to think of me as a person that's there to help them and
Mm-hmm.
guide them through the process. And in order to do that, you have to sometimes be vulnerable. You have to be honest. Your relationship has to be transparent. Like there
Right.
are so many things that need to go into building relationships. And
Mm-hmm.
I I really do think that building any business is
Mm-hmm.
about relationships with people. Like how do you
Mm-hmm.
maintain a business, a successful business, if
Yeah,
you can't be social and have relationships with people and
I
make
agree.
people feel like they matter and that they're important to
Mm-hmm.
you, and it's not
Mm-hmm.
just about your paycheck, and that you are
Mm-hmm.
doing the right thing for them always.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that
Yeah.
doesn't always, I mean, this doesn't happen always in our industry, right?
Yeah.
Be-
Mm-hmm.
because of the way that we get paid. We only get
Right.
paid if we close something.
Yep. Yep.
So
Mm-hmm.
there's a big integrity piece there. And again, it's all just based on building relationships to build your business.
Yeah. 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 It's more than just a file. So
Yeah.
I suspect because there are a lot of similarities. I know for me, because there's emotions run so high when people are dealing with typically the largest
Yeah.
transaction of their life, um, that can be really emotional for me. I suspect it can for you as well. Like your empathy
Oh,
when
it's
they're in some of
crazy.
these situations. Yeah, both
Yeah.
good and bad, right? Like excitement
Yes.
for and
Yes.
with, but also when there's hiccups and challenges and setbacks, you can carry that.
Yeah, you do. And I get so attached to helping people that it's
Hmm.
hard for me to like I struggle when I
Hmm.
hear things like, they have so much debt, but they're looking for a refinance.
Hmm.
They don't qualify for that. Or the flip side is I just helped someone close a reverse mortgage. Like she was struggling,
Hmm. Hmm.
and now she's got all kinds of money. She can stay in
Hmm.
her condo, and like stuff
Yeah.
like that keeps you going, right? But to
Yes.
have to tell people they don't qualify, or you can't help someone who's going to lose their home, is horrible. Like
Yeah.
it's
Hmm.
absolutely a horrible thing to have to, and like they feel horrible, but I feel horrible for them.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
what do you do, right? And I mean, feeling bad for them is not, I know it's not helpful, but I can't help it.
I know. I know. I've said before,
Yeah.
I have too much empathy for this business.
Yeah, I know. I know. I feel you, because it can be. it can be kind of cutthroat, and it can be hard, especially when people are like with you, the losing of houses constantly,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like not
Mm-hmm.
winning those bids.
Mm-hmm.
And like that must beat people down over time too.
Yeah. Yeah. There's people that sometimes need to take a break, right? They can be
Yeah,
looking, and if they lose out several times, they need to just, pause in their
right.
search, take a break,
Yeah.
and go back at it again. Yeah.
And are you seeing that? Are we dealing in multiple offers still, or is the market just sort of
Yeah.
flooding?
It's doing it again. Yeah. Holding offers.
Mm,
I think we're still not in that, the really crazy higher bids, but yeah, there's lots of properties that's the approach being taken again. Yeah.
wow. Yeah, I kind of thought that would disappear. I mean, I would love if the properties were listed for what clients are wanting for them, and we
Mm-hmm.
weren't in these bidding wars for many reasons. I mean, I you
Mm-hmm.
can correct me if I'm wrong, but people end up in situations where they're paying more than they should for a home,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and they're struggling to be able to compete to get homes in their price range.
Yeah, I agree. And I tell people, I go, listen, I wish it would just be that the price, that the list price is, what they want for it. And then you negotiate from there. I said, and I really want that, of course, for my buyers. But when I'm
Right.
working for a seller and I know that the other marketing strategy can be beneficial for them and I'm working in their best interest, I'm going to use the marketing strategy that is best for them. So it
Right, that
literally
makes sense.
depends. It depends who I'm working for. So if I'm working for the
Right.
seller, I may go for that approach if that's working really well at that time in the market, in their neighborhood, for their style of home. Again, if I'm going to get them more money for their property, that's what I want to do. And I want to get the best deal for my buyer clients. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's different
Yeah.
depending on which
Yeah, that
side of
makes
the deal you're
sense.
on. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for you right now, with rates fluctuating and the lending rules changing, we have some exciting, actually positive changes recently.
We have a lot
How,
of things going on, yes.
yeah, how do you help your clients stay calm and confident through the mortgage process? Because we've talked about it's very emotional. So how do you kind of help them kind of breathe deeply with
Uh,
me?
I don't know. It's like behind the scenes, I'm like, whoo, right? So it's
Uh-huh.
hard to talk people down. You got to take a breath, and you're like, you know what? This is going to be okay.
Yeah.
And you just have to keep reiterating that. And I mean, are you a mortgage broker or are you a therapist? There's a fine line in there
Fine
sometimes, right?
line. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There really, really is. So I
Mm-hmm.
just keep letting them know that everything is okay. And I mean, if there's stuff going on behind the scenes, I try not to, like, if it's something that clients don't need to know, because
Mm-hmm.
I can either work with it on my own or fix it or
Yeah.
find an alternative lender, whatever the case
Mm-hmm.
may be. Sometimes the clients don't know what's going on behind the scenes,
Yeah.
because if you tell them that, it causes a tremendous amount of stress.
Sure. Sure.
So I've learned that over the years too, because I would be like, well, here's what's going on. This is what I'm doing. You can't do that. It just,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it pushes people over the edge.
Sure. Sure.
Like,
Yeah.
right?
They're on a need to know basis, because you're
Yes.
right. There are things that you can take care of, right? So they don't need to know the problems that you are or have solved,
Yes,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
And yeah,
Not,
that's why
yeah.
they're working with you. You're taking care of a lot of those things for them. Hmm.
Yes, you're exactly right. And
Yeah.
like I truly believe that that was a big learning curve for me,
Hmm.
not to provide too much information, because it
Hmm.
just is not helpful.
Hmm.
It's not helpful.
So what do you do yourself to kind of manage stress? Like, do you do some sort of like exercise, walking, breathing, meditating? What
All of it. All of it. Yeah.
all the
Like
things? Yeah.
yeah, like I will sometimes just get up from my computer and jump up and down. I
Hmm.
deep breathe.
Hmm.
I meditate in the morning every day. I do yoga in the morning usually. Then I'll try
Okay.
to sneak out for a quick walk in the afternoon, because it can be stressful, and it's
Yeah.
fast paced, and
Hmm.
there are time restrictions, all of that stuff.
Hmm.
So
Yes.
if you don't take that opportunity to take care of yourself and your mental health and find that sort of peace in the storm,
Sure. Hmm.
you're not going to be useful for anybody.
Yeah.
So that's, I think it just is for anything. You need to take care of yourself first in order to
Yeah.
be of any use or help to anyone else. So
I
I tried
agree.
very hard to do it. Yeah. And what
Yeah.
do you do? What do you do to?
I go to a gym called Limitless Performance. They are a CrossFit style gym. So
Yeah.
some of the workouts are pretty intense, and I can literally sometimes feel the stress, burning off. Right? You
That's
sweat it
awesome.
out. You sweat the stress out and
Is
stay
that what you
focused.
do with is that what you do with Jordan? It's Jordan, right?
Jordan has come with me for
Yeah.
we did an event that we trained together for in the fall. Yeah.
I remember
Uh-huh.
seeing it on social media and I'm like, Wendy, you're a rock star. Holy smokes, that's
Yeah,
impressive.
yeah, yeah. That
Yeah,
was
it was
that was
good.
something called High Rocks, which is
Oh, okay.
a sport that is CrossFit-ish.
Yeah.
And
It was
yeah, we had a lot of
impressive
fun.
looking.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good. I'm
Yes.
glad.
I mean, honestly, it gets you so focused on what you're doing, you don't have time to focus on anything else, which is sometimes what we need, right?
Exactly.
Something that keeps you in
Yeah.
the moment.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
So every client's financial situation is different. So what's an example of a time when you had to get really creative to help secure financing? Do you have one of those stories?
Um,
Rob a bank, something like that?
no, I'm just trying to think. Like, there's, we used to have a lot more, like when I started in the industry, we could have a lot more flexibility in loan to value with private
Okay.
mortgages and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. But
Mm-hmm.
that's disappeared. That's disappeared also since
Okay.
2020.
Mm-hmm.
So my focus now would be mostly on tax strategies, things like rental cash damming,
Mm.
other strategies that, like a cascade type strategy where you take a fixed rate and
Mm-hmm.
you get basically the benefits of a variable rate, but then you ride down that fixed rate by adding other mortgage segments. So things
Mm.
like that, debt swap strategies where if clients have some savings or some investments that we can borrow prior to closing, we pay down that mortgage, and then what we do is take that money back, put it back into their investment, but it actually gives them
Mm.
a lower annual percentage rate, basically. So
Okay.
their interest rate becomes lower by paying that debt down. So there's things like that we can do that would be, in my mind, that's about as creative as we're getting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The Manulife One product is also another thing that's great for people that are, savvy with money. You
Mm-hmm.
can pay down your mortgage years earlier just by using putting your paycheck into one account, your savings into one account, because that
Mm-hmm.
interest is then calculated daily. So it pays that mortgage down much, much faster.
Okay. So there's lots of like different options. And I suspect
Mm-hmm.
this is why somebody needs to talk to you, because every situation is entirely unique. I know from experience, right? This is
Yeah.
not a one size fits all type of business. It's you need to know kind of all the factors of the situation, because income, whether they're employed or self-employed, their debt, their equity, all of these things come into play for you to kind of come up with a solution or ideas or opportunities for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Hmm.
the other thing too, I forgot about this one, but you can use reverse mortgages as an investment strategy too.
Hmm.
So that people don't know about, like things
Yeah.
like if you were, say, for example, you have someone that's close to retirement and then
Hmm.
wants to, um, they know they're going to purchase a condo. Well, why not purchase that condo today at today's prices and rent it
Hmm.
out? Then you've got that rent coming in, someone's paying down your mortgage, you're purchasing at today's prices, and that reverse mortgage is on your primary residential property. So there are things that you
Mm.
can do with reverse mortgages as well. You can buy rental
Mm.
properties and vacation properties.
Uh-huh.
So there are nice, really cool things that you can do with certain mortgage products that are out there that a lot of people just don't know about.
Mm. Yeah. No, honestly, sometimes I see some of your informational videos on Instagram or whatever, and I'm thinking, yeah, I didn't know that. So
Perfect. That's
yeah, I
great.
know. That's exactly what you want, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
So that's great.
that's
We'll
exactly it.
link to some of that stuff in the show notes. So if people are interested in kind of learning more about some of the options out there.
Well, that's
Um,
wonderful. Thank you.
yeah. If someone's thinking about buying a home this year, what's one thing that they should be doing now to prepare, even if they're not quite ready to officially begin the mortgage process?
If they're first time home buyers, you need to open your first home savings account.
Okay.
That you can put $8,000 a year in, even if you don't have $8,000, still open it, because
Okay.
that money,
Mm-hmm.
any unused contribution room, gets rolled into the following year.
Mm.
So that's a very big thing. If for any buyers, make sure your down payment is like sort of in one spot or as few spots as you can put it,
Mm-hmm.
because we need to because of anti-money laundering regulations,
Mm-hmm.
we need 90-day histories of down payments. And if you have it
Mm.
all over the place, you
Yeah.
need 90-day statements from here, there, right?
Mm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's another big thing. And then
Sure.
what I would also say is, don't move your money around after we've been in a situation where we've already supplied documents.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is sort
Because,
of paper trail type stuff, right? To keep things
yeah,
nice and clean. Okay. Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah,
Great.
yeah.
Good tips that honestly, if people haven't been through the process, it's not something you'd think about naturally. You'd go, what does it matter? Like if I have the money, what does it matter? But yeah, you need to be able to
It
kind of
does.
show and prove and track it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
Great.
the other thing I would say is not to use all of your down payment, not to use all of your funds for your down payment,
Mm-hmm.
because you need closing costs. You need things like
Mm-hmm.
lawyers' fees, land transfer tax, title
Mm-hmm.
insurance,
Mm-hmm.
maybe appraisal fees. So, like, you don't want to use everything that you have, all the liquid cash that you have, for
Mm-hmm.
that down payment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Great. What's something about mortgages you wish more people understood before they start the process?
Rates, but they're so
Okay. Yeah. So there's a lot of confusion about rates, right? Like you just did a video
yeah,
about this, didn't you?
I did,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
what do you wish, like, what's the simplest way that you can explain some of the confusion around rates?
It would be fixed versus variable rates would be
Okay.
the biggest thing. Like, fixed rates follow the bond market. They have nothing to do with the Bank of Canada announcements.
Mm-hmm.
And people have been sitting on a fence waiting to buy for what, 6 months, a year, waiting for rates to go
Uh-huh.
down. Well, the
Yes.
fixed rates are pretty normal at
Mm.
that 4.5%. That's what
Mm-hmm.
we would see on average over the last 20 years. So
Sure.
that hasn't really changed over the last year. It's gone up and down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
The Bank of Canada's announcements impact the variable rate mortgages
Mm-hmm.
only. And then they also, here's what I posted this morning. The variable rate is not 3%.
Uh-huh.
That
Yes.
is that's the overnight
Mm-hmm.
lending rate.
Mm-hmm.
The institutions like banks and lenders choose a prime rate based on that
Mm-hmm.
overnight lending, that of
Mm-hmm.
that 3%. And then you end up in a situation right now, for example, it's 5.20 is the prime lending rate for most lenders.
Mm-hmm.
You either get a discount or an addition to prime. So if you have right now, say you get a 1% discount to prime, that variable rate is 4.20, not 3%.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but there's so many, like, rates are tough.
Yeah.
And
They
then,
are.
to even to explain, a lot of lenders, most lenders have ranges. So it depends on the amount of your down payment also,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
on what rate you get.
Mm-hmm.
So there's so many, like, you can't have an expectation for our clients to understand that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
Yeah.
the basics of fixed versus variable would
Mm-hmm.
be, the place to start for learning that stuff.
Yeah. To be honest, I still find a lot of it very confusing. And this is why I tell people when they have questions, I direct them to you guys, to the mortgage experts. I'm like, that is not my area of expertise. There's things changing all the time. There's a lot of factors at play. It's very confusing in my mind. So I leave that to you. That's your expertise. That's what you stay up on and, help people work through and educate them on. So I am happy to let you be the pro over there.
Well, we appreciate it.
Yes, yes. So thank you for doing that and for staying on top of all those things. And yeah, I applaud you for keeping all of that straight out here.
Well, it's a lot of information, but
It is, yeah,
once you learn it, it's fine. But it does have a learning curve for everybody. Trust me.
absolutely, for sure. The mortgage world is competitive, as we've talked about, but you've built a business on strong relationships. So, how do you nurture those connections with clients and referral partners, and what does that look like for you?
For clients, I do a lot of marketing, and I do the same thing for my realtor partners. You get a lot of
Hmm.
marketing, and you probably see you get videos every week and stuff,
Hmm.
just with up market updates,
Mm.
or
Hmm.
what's something I've learned this week. So the same thing goes for clients, right? So like I will constantly be in touch. I'll reach out, things like ask them how their new home is. You just
Sure.
want to know these things, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's one of the ways that I would stay connected and stay top of mind and
Hmm.
just understand
Hmm.
what's going on in people's lives.
Yeah.
And I like with referral partners, like they obviously get their videos and stuff, but we do lunch, we connect, but I
Hmm.
think that's the most important thing. And it's just hanging out, building relationships and being your
Yeah.
authentic self.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. That's so important. That loops back to what we talked about at the beginning.
Yeah, exactly.
When you're going to refer somebody to another professional, what kind of qualities? There's so many options out there. What's important to you? What do you look for when making a referral?
I want someone that's very similar to me. So
Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
by that, I mean, you have that sort of client first
Mm-hmm.
philosophy. I
Mm-hmm.
want someone that's not transactional,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
that is
Mm-hmm.
going to take the time to build those relationships. And I want someone who operates with integrity and honesty,
Mm-hmm.
transparency in the industry.
Yeah.
Those would be the top things for me.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I would say yes, yes, yes. I would add, I like people who respond quick, like the communication.
Yes. Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Um,
Hmm.
Honestly, when I'm even reaching out to another agent with a question, with anything, and they take 24, 48 hours to get back to me, I'm thinking, how can you do that in this business? Like it's fast
Yeah.
paced. And I understand you can't always get like full answers, but like an acknowledgement, right?
To
Just
know that
let
someone is,
you're
yeah,
on it. You've
yeah,
got it. You've got the message, the request, you're on it. That's
yeah.
all I need. So yeah, so that's important to me too, is knowing somebody else is prioritizing the client the same way that I would prioritize the client, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
No,
totally
that's
agree.
great.
That is a big, big point. I should
Hmm.
have made it
Yes,
myself.
yes, yes. And I know, and you're very good at it. I knew when I brought it up. You're very good at communicating and being timely and all of that sort of thing. So I know that's a priority for you.
It is.
Um,
Thanks though.
is there anything that we haven't talked about yet that you wanted to share with those listening? Anything that you think is important we didn't touch on?
Um, the only thing I would say is from in the case of my business, is make sure that you reach out to brokers for help
Hmm.
and understand the process. I don't want to diss on the banks, but what I will
Hmm.
say is the bank employees, they're employees.
Hmm.
They're reps. They don't have the same training as us. They're
Hmm.
limited by the products at the bank.
Yep.
We have tons of other options.
Hmm.
And the biggest thing is they work for the bank. Like
Hmm.
we work for clients for free, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You don't get charged money up front. You don't get charged like there's no money or funds added to your mortgage.
Hmm.
And we work for you, not the
Hmm.
bank. Like the
Yeah.
bank reps have, they have shareholders to make happy, profits to maintain. That's
Yes.
not the same on the broker channel.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's no risk, no cost in them reaching out to you and giving you, like, having that conversation with you, having you look at their situation, their file, and seeing what you can do, right? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
no risk to them, only potential gain. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I do have, before we wrap up today, some rapid fire questions. Are you game for some rapid fire?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. I've never done it before.
Let's see. I think you're warmed
Oh,
up. I think you're warmed up.
oh
I
my
think you.
gosh.
First one's really
Okay.
easy. Okay. Morning person or night owl?
Morning.
Okay. And have you always been a morning person?
No.
Okay. You became a morning person.
I did, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I
I
would say
think it
same.
comes with age.
Yeah, that could be. Let's say wisdom and maturity. Okay. Let's
Okay,
say that.
perfect. Wisdom, it comes with wisdom and maturity.
Exactly. If you could teleport anywhere right now, where would you go?
I'd go to Bon Air.
Okay. Yeah, we could get another tick off the travel list.
Yeah.
What's a book, podcast, or movie you'd recommend?
Oh my gosh. 4 Agreements for a book.
Oh, I don't think I've actually read it. I'm aware of it, but I don't think I've read it. Okay, Four
It's a
Agreements.
good read. It's a good read.
Okay. What's a hidden talent or skill that you have that most people don't know about you?
Hidden talent or skill. Okay, I'm sucking at rapid fire because I'm
No,
not
you're
good
not.
at anything. What's going on?
I don't believe you. I think it's just
a hidden skill.
it could be
I'm
something
very,
silly.
I'm very intuitive. I know that, but I
Okay.
don't know if that's going to be. That's just
Yeah.
not. I could have something better for a rapid fire answer, couldn't
That's
I?
all right. That's all right. Yeah, I know. We'll hang up and you'll go, why didn't I say? Yeah, I know. That's exactly what I would do as well. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
If you weren't in your current profession, what's a job you'd love to try?
I'd like to be a naturopath.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Do you go to a naturopath currently?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Me too. I like it. What's a motto or mantra you live by?
Try to love what is. I'm going to take the try out. Love what is.
Love
what
is.
is. Yeah. It is
That's
so hard sometimes, but yeah,
That's
love what is.
really good. That's really good.
Yeah.
That's a very timely one with everything going on right now in the world, I think.
Absolutely.
I like that. And before we wrap up, do you have any exciting projects or events coming up that you want to let people know about?
No, I don't. I don't
Okay.
have anything coming up.
Okay. That's all right. That's all right. I just wanted to give you the opportunity in case, because sometimes you'll have like a teaching event or something like that, and we
Yeah.
want to let people know about it.
Yeah, I don't have anything scheduled.
There's nothing scheduled. So this next part then, where is the best place for people to find you? Because then when you do have something, then if they're following you or looking for you there, they can find out about any kind of event.
Instagram.
Instagram. Okay. You're very active on Instagram. And yes, I would also recommend to people some of the things that you talked about that they have never heard of, I'm sure. They can go and you give the, brief instructional videos on these things. And I know if you're listening, if you have questions about these things, I know Marsha would be happy to give more explanation about these things and go into detail with you. So yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you for taking the time out of your schedule and
Oh my gosh,
having this conversation with me. I appreciate it. It's so good to get to know people more than just the business, right? Like,
Yes.
you're so much more than just a mortgage broker, right?
Thank you so much. And thank you for having me. I mean, when you asked me, I was so excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm terrified too. So
I told you, you're a natural. You're a natural.
Yeah. Well, you help. That was perfect.
Good. Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks again. And yeah, we'll put a link to your Instagram in the show notes, and then people can find you and go check you out.